right, legends, Bitcoin has broken out. I see everyone on social media is talking about this breakout here to the upside. Will the momentum continue? Everyone keeping an eye on this little trend, okay? Connecting the high. Okay, let me just make this yellow so everyone can see over here. Right, connecting this little pivot, and now price is breaking out. And on the smaller time frame, very interesting, it is breaking out with a tremendous amount of high volume at the moment. Usually from a trend line perspective, this is what you want to see. You want to see a breakout with high volume. Okay, so far, it's actually looking pretty good for the bulls over here. And we have a 1 hour candle close above the trend. The question is, can we close a 4 hour above the trend? Because the higher the time frame that closes above the trend, the more bullish. Okay? And the 4 hours still has 1.5 hours left before it closes. Once the 4 hour closes, I'll be waiting for an 8 hour candle. Once the 8 hour, you wait for a daily candle to close above, right? But there is still a chance, okay? Guys, there's still a chance that price potentially does not claim the high. It's a fake out and it rolls back down. So you need to be, you need to trade with good risk management, guys. Depending on the strategy that you play, if you're playing this breakout, right, I can't teach you how to play these little breakouts, but I mean, maybe your trading setup looks something like this. You're playing the breakout over here, okay? You're targeting all-time highs, okay? Stop maybe goes below this low. You're supposed to put your stop loss below this low, okay? But ideally, what you would like to see is for price not to get acceptance back below the trend and start closing high time frame candles below the trend. So this is potentially a good place to place your stop loss, because the structure could roll, make a correction, chop here by the trend, and then continue momentum here to the upside. Build another trend, play the breakout, off to the races we go. Okay, so this reminds me, legends, so what I would like to see is this. Okay, let's look at this previous structure. We had a beautiful trend that formed over here. Okay, we had one little fake out. There we go. Okay, this is what you want to see. You want to see this outside the trend. And the more candles closes outside, the more bullish. There was a little bull flag forming there. You play the breakout and bam, we went and we claimed the high. Okay, so this is what I would like to see. I do not want to see this. Okay. Can you guys see? Because yeah, even on the 4 hour time frame, we closed a body above, okay, and we faked out. We basically, what price did over here is it almost grabbed the liquidity above the highs. Look at where it rolled over, almost claimed the highs. We had 4 hour candles above, and as soon as price dipped below and you close high time frame candles back below the trend, you increase the probabilities that you're going to claim this low. And that's exactly what happened. We claimed the low. So I'm just issuing a word of caution. Okay, right, legends, we're gonna talk about the bullish case scenario now, okay, and then there unfortunately is still a bearish case scenario where we go down to $100,000. There's still a bearish case scenario with high probability. Okay, so what could happen here is price does this, maybe it claims the highs, it doesn't have to, okay. Also, if you take a fib from the high to the low, we still have some key areas where price can reject. We did not claim the 0.618. This high did not claim the 0.618. So if it wants to push, claims the liquidity, all of this liquidity above, okay, rejects, okay, it could still come and claim the lows. So, just a word of caution, guys. Right, I know that the world is bullish and we're going to talk about the bullish case scenario, okay? I'm just issuing a word of caution out there. For those of you that has been watching my live streams, you know that, okay, you ideally still want the corrective structure to continue. Okay, from a timing perspective, it doesn't really make sense. There is one scenario that does support time being in the favor of the correction being complete. That, however, means that we are going to get an epic bull run here to the upside. Okay, and I will go through that scenario. Right, but from the all-time high and where price is, we still have some resistances. Okay, we have some hurdles that we need to get through. Okay, it's not guaranteed it's just going to do this, guys. It's not guaranteed. It could roll over at any stage when it hits these areas to the upside. Okay, it's either going to find support at the trend, or it's going to lose the trend and claim the lows. Right, we don't know, and this is the problem with higher time frame analysis. There's just too many scenarios. Okay, for me, the best thing to do is just trade the level, trade level to level, trade level to level, because the one trading setup that, you know, obviously here from a higher time frame perspective is, let me take this out the way. Let's look at volume. Okay, quickly over here, let's look at volume. Right, let's bring this entire structure into the frame and wait for it to load up. Well, you will see once the volume loads up, look at, you have a mountain of volume over here at this high. So from a trading perspective, if price continues here to the upside, I will definitely be interested in a short in this zone, because it's going to take a tremendous amount of volume to break this resistance. Okay, and volume for now on the higher time frames are still sloping down. I don't see a peak in volume. I would have liked to see, you know, I would like to see some nice green volume kicking in, breaking this downtrend. I want this downtrend to be broken. I want to see a high volume candle. Then I'm going to be like, okay, well, it looks like it has a chance to continue. It needs to break with high volume. So that's just basically from a trend line perspective, guys. You know, it's because what could happen here is price does this. Okay, let's say it falls. Let's say it plays this. Then you're going to do this. Okay, you're going to adjust your trend. It's like, okay, the trend did not finish forming. We thought that this was the trend. Wasn't. Created the double top over here and it rolled back down. Now we have a new trend. Okay, we're waiting for the breakout once again. The only thing that concerns me a little bit about this breakout here at the moment, guys, is that there is a lot of people bullish at the moment. Insane amount of people bullish. Q4, October, the most bullish month during every single bull cycle. Okay, is it maybe not too soon? Okay, it makes me a little bit worried that everyone saw this. Okay, the correction, higher low, and now price is just going to fly and we're going to continue the bull market. It would make more sense for everyone that turned bullish too quickly to get that last flush out and then we continue. Okay, but I mean, I don't have that crystal ball. I wish I had that crystal ball. No one knows what's going to happen at the end of the day. Let me say hi to the community and then we can continue the technical analysis over here. So the only thing that I wanted to highlight here is, guys, there is still a mountain of resistance above. And you can see where price got the rejection right now was at this little high volume node over here. This is where price is struggling at the moment, but it still looks like it wants to chop a little bit higher based on bullish CVD building up here. Okay, as price is climbing here to the upside, ever so chopping here to the upside. Look at CVD, is absolutely just tanking. It's just tanking here to the downside. So there's still a chance that you do this. Okay, you create those triple tops and eventually price starts to roll over. So the bullish CVDs plays out. People get tired of shorting because they keep on getting stopped out, and eventually price starts rolling over. So there's still a couple of key levels that I'm watching to the upside for potential short. Right. I will also show you where I'm potentially getting into a long. Okay. I do have my swing trades. Smiling at the moment with my swing trades. Okay. So, I mean, if price wants to go, let it go. My spot bags and my swing trades will thank me. Okay. Because I've got some amazing entries to the downside. Right, liquidity I see also has been grabbed. Let me just move my face over here. It's gonna show. Okay, there we go. You can also see that most of the liquidity at the moment has been grabbed over here. So, you know, maybe you still get that choppiness. I would like that pivot to be claimed over here. For me, claim that pivot. 618, that has not been tapped. High volume. Okay, you get that. And it rolls over. It either finds support, so you have the breakout, you have a higher high, you have a low, you create a higher low, and you continue. That's where I'm going to get in. It forms a little trend, you play the breakout. It forms that bullish pennant above the trend. I love to see a bullish pennant above the trend. Okay. Right, legends, let's go through. Oh, let me say hi to the community first. Let me put my sexy face here back onto the big screen. Okay, here we go. Benjamin, Manuel, Master Dewald, thank you for your education. Absolute pleasure, man. Welcome to the live stream. Much love. Joseph, hi, Dewald. Mr. Claw over here, 1 hour bearish divergence. Okay, let's go and check the 1 hour here. Bearish divergence. You must probably talking about the RSI. Okay. Ooh, yes, we do have bearish divergence on the RSI. A massive bearish divergence. Okay, RSI is not something that I use to trade with as part of my trading strategy, but I mean, it's interesting to note here. Okay, look at this. Look at these highs that was created over here. Okay, and over here. You already had bearish divergence between these two pivots. Now you have another high. And look at this, a lower low on RSI. That is bearish divergence. Okay, the target for this bearish divergence is this low. That's the target. So if it plays out, maybe it chops a little bit, you know, based on the local bullish CVD, it stops, you know, it creates that scenario where people get tired of shorting. And when people get tired of shorting, what I will look for is CVD. Okay, so price needs to chop. Okay, it needs to do this. It needs to do this, and as it claims the high every single time, at some point CVD needs to turn over and shoot to the upside. Then I know people are getting tired of shorting. Like, okay, I've given up. I've been stopped out too many times. I'm not shorting anymore. Perhaps I need to start longing. And when they start longing these little bottoms, CVD calls up, showing weakness. That is where I think it becomes very interesting to start shorting. But yeah, very interesting. I didn't even spot the bearish divergence here on the RSI. But like I said, guys, it's not something that I use as part of my trading strategy. But it is interesting to note that we do have some insane bearish divergence on the 1 hour. Right. Who else is here in the comment section? Hi. Whoops. Morning, Dewald. Quite the early morning, late night here in Los Angeles. Great to see. Is it LA, Los Angeles? Great to see you hopping in here. Thank you so much. Baby G, welcome to the live stream. Hello, Jen, Simply 3 Jack, Simple 3 Jack. Okay, hi, Devil. Thanks for confirming. Entered short at 16.5 with 10x leverage, TP1, 12. What do you think TP2 should be? Okay, we're going to talk about the shorting. Jägermeister, Red Bull. Whew. Okay, Jägermeister and Red Bull, you have some crazy parties, okay? Because I know when I have a Jägermeister and Red Bull, I have the biggest hangover that I've ever experienced in my entire life from having a Jägermeister and Red Bull. Because the problem with a Jägermeister and Red Bull is it doesn't stop at one. Mr. Joan, welcome. You guys, I want to show you, I'm going to share a scenario that Joan also shared inside of our Legends Pro community. An absolute legend when it comes to technical analysis. Okay, never seen so much different knowledge, never heard in my Elliott channels. Is this a reversal Elliott wave? We will go through the scenarios now. Emery, Perez, we're going to go through all these scenarios at the moment from an Elliott wave perspective. But what I like to do is I trade a combination of strategies. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of a trader that will say there's a certain thing that gives them their edge in trading. Okay, you have to have that one thing that gives you an edge in trading, because if everyone trades the same strategy and uses the same rules, no one's going to make money. Because at the end of the day, I'm taking your money, you're taking my money. We're trading against each other at the end of the day. Okay, my edge, what gives me my edge in trading is that I have mastered at least 3-4 strategies, and depending on what price shows me, I will use that strategy for the price action that I see in front of me. Okay, I don't just use Elliott wave theory. I don't just use swing failure patterns. I don't just use the D-line strategy. I've been able to combine them to look for a trade that makes sense using one of those strategies. So, and I believe that is what gives me my edge. Okay, because I can trade a trending market, I can trade a ranging market, I can trade any market, I can trade a bear market. Okay, and I actually turned profitable as a trader. Okay, let me share this with you guys. Let me just switch this off, clean up the chart ever so slightly. This is where I turned profitable as a trader. Okay, this is where I turned profitable as a trader during the bear market. Yeah, during this phase, I was still at break even. This, I was just losing money. Okay, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, still practicing my strategies. Yeah, I broke even, and yeah, I turned profitable as a trader during the bear market, believe it or not. So I learned to trade successfully during a bear market. This is where I learned. This was my learning journey. Obviously, the bull market, I made a lot of money. Okay, and then I got into the game over here. This is where I got into the game, traded all this beautiful momentum here to the upside, made a lot of money. And then I thought to myself, hey, hang on, you know, there's something in this trading game. Okay, why do I need to manage a team of 30 or 40 people, be the CEO, report to a board, have shareholders breathing down my neck the whole time? Why can't I learn to trade properly? And this was my learning journey. This is where I learned to trade. Not here, because this is easy, guys. Okay, everyone is a superhero. Everyone knows how to trade this. Everyone, okay? Because it doesn't matter how shit your entry is, the rising tide raises all the ship. This is what makes people believe that trading is easy. This is what gets people into the game. This is where everyone leaves, okay? Had enough. I've lost everything. Altcoins are down 100%, okay? Well, this is where I learned to trade, and this is where I turned profitable as a trader. Ironically. Okay, anyways, let me just get back here. Still got my trends all the way up here. Let's see, guys. Now, let's go through a couple of scenarios. Okay, so let's jump back here onto the 1 hour time frame. And let's just look at a couple of scenarios. And let's start with the most bullish case scenario first. Baby G, beautiful. I love this. Congrats. I learned something very similar in a spot market of all things, 2018. Yes. I mean, some of you guys here in the live stream have been in crypto. Okay. It would be interesting to just post a date. Since when have you been trading or being part of this crypto space? Just type the year. Okay. 2000 and what? Okay. It would be interesting to see. I actually bought... I think I bought my first Bitcoin during 2016-17. That's where I bought my first Bitcoin and Ethereums. I bought a lot of Ethereums during that time. Okay, so it was more from an investment perspective. Trading, I only started trading during the bear market. Day trading, breakouts, swing failure patterns. You know, I started practicing my strategies during the bear market. But investment, okay, from 2017, I've been invested in Bitcoin and Ethereum. 2022, okay, just, well, during the peak of the previous bull cycle, okay, 2019, 2024, okay, so we still have some fresh people here, we have some OGs over here, 2018, Sin Games, 2021, during the previous bull cycle, 2016, I was a miner trading this cycle, so you've been here quite a while. Mr. Joan, Stefan 1, 2023, 2022, Anna, 2020. Okay, so most of you still fresh in the crypto space. Most of you still fresh because, and it's nice to see people here from 2021 and 2020. It's still nice to see these people here because it means that you have not given up. It means that you are still mastering this game. Okay, so it's great to see you still 1999. Basically when Bitcoin was conceived, right? Vegas Claw in Bitcoin since 2017. Yes, same year, in Bitcoin since 2017. I knew about Bitcoin much earlier, okay? But yeah, especially here in South Africa, it was really difficult to buy Bitcoin during those early days, especially before 2000. 17. There wasn't really exchanges or anything like that. Okay, now it's easy. It's very easy to invest and buy Bitcoin at the moment. Technology has really jumped up. Okay, so let's do a couple of scenarios. Trading since 2024. Well done, man. Well done. Okay. Okay. And for some of you, the trading journey is going to take a little bit longer. Okay. On average, and this is an average that's published by the Trader Association, whatever they call themselves, and from surveys performed inside of prop firms as well. On average, it takes a trader from when they start to when they start turning profitable, on average 3 years. 3 years. For some, it's 6 months. For others, it's 10 years, okay? Because you need to master your psychology. It's usually not the trading strategy that's the problem. It's the psychology that's the problem. Right, but yeah, some interesting facts over there. Okay. Yeah, and then guys, I mean, I just have to highlight this, okay? I just have to highlight this. I have seen that a lot of traders, okay, especially some, I'm not going to mention any names, some traders that traded this, okay, started YouTube channels. And I can tell you now, it's easy to trade a bull market. Okay, you just play the breakouts, okay. We had dominance drops, we had altcoins apps, we had a proper altcoin season during this bull run as well. You guys remember, okay? And it was just an NFT heaven. With this bull cycle was just NFT driven and Web3 driven, okay? There was a lot of people that traded this bull market very successfully, and they made a boatload of cash. And then when this happened, they had no idea what to do. Okay, because if you're used to trading to the upside, it's the easiest way to trade is to trade to the upside from a psychology perspective. Very easy to play longs. People struggle with shorts. People struggle with ranges. Okay, so I saw some YouTube influencers did very well during this cycle, and they really struggled during this cycle. And even now, they are still struggling during this bull market because we didn't have this euphoric phase yet to the upside. Not going to mention any names, but you most probably know who I'm talking about. Okay, there's a couple of them. Right, legends. So now, okay, let's run through a couple of scenarios. Let's go back here onto the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so for now, there is the most insane bullish case scenario. Okay, what is wrong with my screen over here? Guys, my screen is a little bit broken. Let me do this. Okay, there we go. No one has even told me that my screen is absolutely stuffed. That looks better, right? Okay, that looks better, much better. Okay, I was just so zoomed in over here and I was like, something is not right. Okay, so that looks better. Okay, there we go. Let me lock this so I can't change the setting. Okay, I followed Miles during that time. Let's just say I unsubbed. Miles Dacher, I think, if you pronounce his surname. Yeah, I also know Miles. Okay. What's this crap with 20k limit, stable coins in UK initiative government? We come. Okay. Yeah, 3 year makes sense. Yeah, 3 years does make sense. Okay. The problem with most people that start with trading is they want to do it quick. It's not easy, guys. You have to think to yourself, if trading was easy, why is everyone not doing it? If it was easy, because it's not easy. Okay, it takes time, it takes discipline. Right, but before I get distracted again, let's go through the most bullish case scenario on Bitcoin is the following. Okay, there we go. I can't even fit this bullish case scenario inside of my screen. Okay, let's go maybe to the 2 hour. I think so I can just fit in the scenario a little bit better. The most insane bullish case scenario that could potentially be playing out over here is that we have made the top and we have finished the correction in an ABC. It's done. Price formed a 5-wave structure to the upside in a 1. We formed a WXY to the downside in a 2. Here's your invalidation, clear invalidation, and now we are forming the first leg, only the first leg to the upside in a wave 1. And remember, Each leg has to retrace itself, and that's where the opportunity lies. So if you've missed this entire move and you believe that we are going to $130,000, well, there's still an opportunity to get in, because each momentum to the upside has to correct itself, and that is where I plan to get in. Okay. And then you get another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in your third wave. Correction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Third wave, which is now the third wave of this wave. 1, 2, 3. Okay. This wave has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a correction and bull market is over. Okay. These are conservative targets that I have placed. Yes, of course, it can go higher. This wave can go much higher. I've just placed conservative targets because I want to keep level-headed, my feet on the ground. Okay, I'm not going to be the one that calls for $200,000, $300,000 Bitcoin. I'm just saying that in the most insane bullish case scenario, we expect a 5-wave structure to the upside. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This was your first bullish structure, and now we're going to get continuation to the upside. Okay. If I then overlay that trend, okay, this little trend that we broke out from, so ideally what you would like to see in this scenario for price to remain bullish is you want this one wave to break out, preferably even take this high. Okay, maybe it rejects there. Remember, I'm looking for a short in the zone. Okay, so let's say it climbs a little bit higher, it rejects. Beautiful. And then what you want to see is you want the second wave, the corrective structure, to stay above the trend. It needs to correct above the trend. Builds another little bullish pennant. Okay, maybe your wave 2 will be in there, whatever the case might be. And then you want to see continuation to the upside. So this is where I plan to get in. I'm not interested in FOMOing into this breakout. Not interested at all. Okay? Because when I learned to trade, what would often happen is you FOMO, bang, you FOMO in here, you put your stop loss here, and you're just like, okay, it's going to go. And you put your TP there by 130,000. And you say, okay, well, now I'm just going to relax. Okay? You went all in. Okay, maybe this is your liquidation price, it's not even your stop loss, right? And then what happens is it does form a wave 1, but it climbs a little bit higher. It does this, it does a liquidity grab, and it continues. I've seen it so many times. It stops you out and it continues. Okay, so I would rather wait for that and play the breakout. Okay, it is fine. What I've often also see is it's fine if price stays, the best case scenario is price stays above the trend, but sometimes what happens is it dips below and it gets acceptance back above. It stops you out. Okay, but it leaves that wick behind. It has to leave a wick behind because if it's going to start closing high time frame candles below the trend, that's where it gets dangerous, because then it can come and eat up the low, like what happened with this trend over here. Okay, that other example that I've shown everyone. Where was that example? This one. Okay, look at what happened here. As soon as it gets acceptance back below the trend, you don't want to see that. Okay, it increases the probability you're going to take the low. So you want price to do this. Okay, and it's fine if it chops against the trend and it does a liquidity grab and it continues. It's fine if it does that, but it needs to leave a wick behind. You don't want to see candles close below the trend. Right, so can you guys see how I combine my strategies, including looking at Elliott wave theory? So in the most bullish case scenario, what you would like to see is for this wave 1 to come to an end somewhere in the zone. Okay, it would be very strange for this to happen, guys. It's not impossible, but it would be very strange for wave 1 just to continue in a straight line to the upside. Just continue. Okay, you know, okay, each impulse has to correct itself. Look at this. You have an impulse, you have a correction. That's where you get in. You have an impulse, you have a correction. That's where you get in. You have an impulse and you have a correction. That's where you get in. I don't want to get in at the pumps. No, because I know that each pump has to correct itself at some point, regardless of how high it goes. So in saying that, what I am looking for is for this impulse to end at some point. It needs to end. And it's the corrective structure that's going to give me the clue where to get in. Okay. To either play the momentum to the upside, or it forms a 5-wave impulse to the downside, and I'm going to short over here. So I'm either going to short or long depending on the price action that I see as soon as the correction takes place. So for now, I sit on my hands, but I am very interested in shorting this high. Very interested. Okay, because it could be a wave up. Okay, and I'm going to talk about the bearish case scenario now. Okay, where everyone thinks it's a wave 1. Okay. It falls down in a 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it starts chopping below the trend. Danger, danger. As soon as it comes back up, it looks like it wants to break out again. That is where I'm very interested in a short. Okay, and it takes the low. So unfortunately, there's still a little bit of price action that needs to play out over here for me to decide whether I'm going to long or whether I'm going to short. But for now, for me, at the moment, price is not in a longing zone. It could be in a shorting zone, but not in a longing zone. So guys, just to wrap this up, okay, during all the technical analysis and the updates here on YouTube, I've always said that there's a higher probability when price was falling down here, okay, people left the live streams, people said that it's the bear market. I always said that there's still a higher chance to claim the high before we claim the low. And this could be it, where we're going to claim the high. From a timing perspective, it doesn't really make sense. So let's talk about the bearish case scenario. Okay. Switch this off. Now. Okay, let's take the trends out the way because the trends can create a little bit of confusion. This is the bearish case scenario that could potentially still play out. Legends. Okay, let's just keep it simple. And I'm going to show you something here to the left. Very interesting. Okay, the correction is not done. We have only completed the W. We have already completed the X. And now we are wrapping up an A, B, C to the downside. And then the bull market continues. Personally, from a psychology perspective, I prefer this scenario. But the market doesn't always give us what we want. Okay, because from a social media perspective, everyone is long at the moment. It's October. It's the last October of the bull cycle. The bull market is supposed to end the end of this year. Everyone is long like crazy. So it would be nice to get a flush before we get continuation. Are we going to get it? I have explained the bullish case scenario, so it depends on how price is going to retrace. That will give me the probabilities on whether I'm going to short or whether I'm going to long to the upside. Okay. So this is, I would say, the easiest bearish case scenario just to keep in mind is that you want to see a 3-wave structure to the downside. And this little B is allowed to take the high. It's allowed to do that. And you could also do this. You could form a larger 3-wave structure B. So your B moves over there. Okay. Common targets for your B wave, and these are some of the targets that I will definitely keep in mind, is you take your trend-based FIB from the high of X to the low of A. You drag it across. You reverse it to the upside. Okay, so your most common B wave targets for a flat is this zone over here. So anything above the highs. Okay, so maybe it still continues up, maybe it makes a larger 3-wave structure, but I will be paying attention if it does this. Okay, maybe it makes a 3-wave structure, or a larger 3-wave structure, or a larger 3-wave structure. But you guys know, when during the beginning of the live stream, I showed you guys that there's a wall of volume over here. So it could do a liquidity grab, and it absolutely tanks to the downside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can go as low as $96,000, $94,000, worst case scenario. But I think the maximum target is going to be the 1-to-1 extension. Maximum target. Okay, I would not be surprised, okay, if price does this and then it bounces, because the minimum target for your Y wave is to claim the lows of W, and it's also the 0.618. So the 0.618 is your minimum target for a Y wave. And also what you would like to see if your X did not tap the 0.786 is for your wife to at least claim the lows of W. So in this zone, you could still get the bounce before it even gets here. Okay, but it would be nice, okay, to flush everyone that's extremely long over here, 50x, 100x leverage, thinking that we're going to $150,000, okay, and they're like, oh shit, what's happening? What? Liquidate, 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 boom, and then we continue. So from a psychology perspective, I prefer this scenario. Right, so regardless of the trend. From a simplicity perspective, you just need to keep an eye on the trend and how it corrects. Stay above. Can you guys see, you need to just follow the rules of the strategies. Right, so this is the simplest. There's also another scenario that I wanted to highlight over here. Let me see if I can bring this screen across. Let's do this. Mr. Joan here in the live stream, okay, spoke about a very interesting scenario. This is the crypto chat. Let's go to the Bitcoin analysis section. Okay, Mr. Joan highlighted a very, very interesting scenario early this morning. And I was like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let me make it bigger over here. Okay. Let's see if I can zoom in. There we go. Okay, doesn't really want to go. There we go. Can everyone see that? Also, very similar to what I've just shown you guys, but it still goes up for an A, B, C. Well, it's already there. It's already there already, okay? But yeah, basically, we're still forming that B wave here to the upside, and we go down for a C. So very interesting scenario, and what he's basically highlighting is that this B creates a flat. It claims the highs. Okay, it creates a flat and you go down for a C wave. Claim the lows and then we go back up and we continue the bull market. And then that is actually your trend. And this was the fake out. Massive fake out over here. Interesting scenarios. Okay, interesting scenarios. I still, call me crazy guys, I know it's bullish. Volume is starting to kick in. October is here. Everyone is long. There's a chance, okay? I will definitely not miss the move to $150,000 or $130,000. I will wait for the impulse to finish. I will get in at the corrective structure depending on what I see. I want to see a 3-wave corrective structure. Play the breakout. I want price to stay above the trend like I've just explained, okay? If price dips here, or if price starts moving here to the upside, well, guess what? I'm going to be looking for shorting opportunities, and I will leave the moon bag open here for higher levels. I will take profits, okay? I will take profits on the way up. Leave a moon bag. If it wants to continue, then it continues. I've already taken profits. If it wants to roll over and I have a short at the 0.236 or in the zone, maybe I enter a short and it starts falling down. Well, now I have a hedge against my long. Okay, if it wants to break down, well, I'm going to be looking for a long. So you guys can see it doesn't matter which scenario plays out. I will take advantage of it. I don't care. Okay, but I can tell you guys now that if price had to come down to this level, now that is where I'm building a nice little swing position, okay, to the upside. So I can still trade all of these levels regardless of the scenario that plays out, because I combine my strategy with Elliott wave theory. And also with swing failure patterns, well, I can play swing failures from these little lines over here. I can play an SFP from the high if it does this. Okay, I will be in that short. If I'm awake, I will be in that short. If it wants to continue and I see strength and bullish CVD, I'll leave it. Okay, I will be in that short, or I will be in that short. I will also be in this long. Okay, so you guys can see I'm just trading the levels. That's all I'm doing as a technical, as a day trader. I'm just trading the levels. Okay, what's interesting, legends, about this correction? Okay, what is very interesting about this correction? I have seen this before. Okay, look at this. Do you guys remember this? Because I remember it as clear as daylight. Because I had so many fights with people saying that this is a 5-wave structure. Can you guys see? 3-wave structure to the downside. A, B, C. We had an expanding structure inside of the C wave. The 5th wave was the longest. I think it was, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of an expanding structure. I'm not going to go into all the details, but I remember it like it was yesterday. I think this could have also been counted as a WXY. You basically have an A, B, C. You had a W, you had a X, and then you had an A, B, C, and a Y wave here to the downside. But this was a 3-wave structure, and I had so many fights with people saying it's a 5-wave structure, it's a 5-wave structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to make a correction and we're going to tank to the downside. No, there was a lot of problems with this little structure. Guys, I remember it like it was yesterday. Okay, and it was because of this. Let me take a horizontal line over here. Look at this. Do you guys remember this? That was the biggest problem with this structure to the downside, was this. When you have a 1, 2, 3, your 4 is not allowed to go into the territory of 1. Then you have to start thinking about diagonals. Okay, well, okay, you need a diagonal, but now you have an expanding structure, which is rare, never preferred, unless all other scenarios fail. Well, all other scenarios did not fail, so you can either count this as a WXY, or you can count this as an A, B, and then your C had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in an expanding structure. That's fine. I have seen C waves inside of Bitcoin form expanding diagonals. Perfectly fine. Anyways, guys, I'm getting lost in this technical analysis, but all I wanted to show you over here is that, okay, let's do this. If I take a fib from the high to the low of W and I drag it across, do you guys remember this? We did not tap the 0.9, so let me put the 0.9 on. Okay, look at X. Okay, look at X there above. Can you guys see? X did not tap the 0.9. Very important. Okay, because if okay, you have a 3-wave structure and you labeled this as A, and so people say, okay, this is a 3-wave structure in a B, you're not allowed to form an impulse to the downside because B did not tap a flat target, and this is why I labeled it as a WXY. Because I can tell you now, if this was an A, B, and it was a C, it would have gone to at least $91,000. And it didn't. It stopped here because I labeled it as an X. It did not tap a flat target. Okay. But Y tapped the 1-to-1 extension to perfection. So this could potentially be what's playing out over here. Okay. So let me just take the damn scribble here out the way. Okay. So 3-wave structure down, 3-wave structure up, 3-wave structure down to complete your Y at the 1-to-1 extension. You take your fib from the high to the low to the high, and this is where I get these targets. Now, looking at this structure, well, it looks like the same movie, okay? Right, so if you want to label this an A, there's a problem. X did not tap the 0.9, okay? 0.9 is all the way up here, guys. 0.9 is all the way up here. So to form an A and a B flat, it has to, if you have a three-wave structure in an A, your B has to tap at least the 0.9 for a B. Then you can talk about, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside. But X, okay, tap the zero, not even, it didn't even tap the 0.618. So I have to label this as a W, X, and now we're forming potentially a Y. Okay, so if history is going to repeat itself, well, here we go. Okay, three-wave structure in a W, three-wave structure or corrective structure in an X, and now you can form an A, B, C to the downside to the 1-to-1 extension. Exactly what happened here, 1-to-1 extension. Okay, it can go to $100,000. So the question is history going to repeat itself? Guys, I know this is very technical. Okay, you might be thinking, what is Dewald smoking before his live streams? All I'm trying to highlight here is, legends, you can still reject and make a low. That's all I'm trying to highlight here. Okay, make sure that you have this fib in place if the hell breaks loose. You take your trend-based fib from the high to the low to this high over here, and you get your levels here to the downside. I will be paying attention at each of these levels for a potential swing trade back to the upside. So in the most bearish case scenario, there's still a chance that price is going to reject inside of this red box and fall to the downside. If that happens, pay attention. If the most bullish case is going to happen, okay, then I've already shared how I'm going to get into that trade. So I've had a request. Okay, I'm going to get to that now. And before we get to the request, guys, down in the description, if you'd like to come and trade with me and grab some of the best sign-up bonuses these exchanges has to offer, the links are down in the description. Also, your way to support the channel, it costs you nothing extra. I've got Bluffin, BTCC, and Weeks. I've actually got a trade open on Weeks at the moment, doing some scalping, high leverage at the moment, okay, because of the insane discount on the trading fees when you use the link down in the description. 20% cashback, 25% discount on your trading fees. You all automatically get upgraded to VIP status 1. For the larger whales, I see that they prefer to trade on Bluffin and BTCC, especially on Bluffin. So for the larger whales, okay, you deposit 25k, you get upgraded to VIP status 1, and they reduce your fees dramatically. 50k, VIP status 2. Okay, so I am trading with quite a large portfolio here on Bluffin. I have a medium portfolio on BTCC, and then I have about 100k in Weeks where I just do scalps. Okay, high leverage, swing failure patterns, that's what I like to use Weeks for. So also your way to support the channel, you qualify for the best bonuses, cost you nothing extra. If you want to join our Legends Pro community, like I've highlighted here, we've got some great technical analysts. As you guys can see, I was actually planning a swing trade here to the bottom. Okay, I was actually planning a swing trade here to the bottom, and then I told the legends, this is my plan, but I want price to reject in this red box. Okay, next screenshot, I said, I want this volume to remain lower than this volume. And then what happened? Okay, you all know what happened then. Okay, so if I go back here onto the 1 hour time frame, well, now I got higher volume to the upside. So I told the legends I'm not interested in the swing trade to the bottom anymore. Okay, and it's just, you know, if it falls, it falls. I don't care. I need to follow my rules. The volume was down here. Okay, it shot up with a breakout. So there's a chance that the breakout could be successful. Okay, and this is why I'm now starting to lean towards the bullish case scenarios as well. We broke out with a high amount of volume. So now I become interested rather in swinging the highs because of the high volume breakout. Okay, because I want price to start chopping like this to the upside, and then I want volume to start decreasing. That will show me weakness. That's where I start shorting or looking for shorting opportunities. Okay, but now with this, Okay, I don't care if price falls down here. I don't care if I miss out on this move. I will find another trading opportunity. Okay, because if I was looking at this, if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your fifth wave usually has the least amount of volume. You want volume to go down. Now volume shot up. So maybe, you know, in the most bullish case scenario is that we are forming a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then with the next leg up, we see decrease in volume. That's where I see the weakness. Price gets acceptance back below the high. Okay, that's where I look for shorting opportunities. Okay, so I need price to show me the way. And at the moment, I'm not feeling this little short trade that I highlighted to the Legends Pro. Okay, this was the trade that I highlighted. I'm not feeling it at the moment because it feels like it's screaming to be stopped out. Okay, you build a position in this zone, and what price does, it does this, stops you out, and then it falls. Okay, so I'm rather now interested in swings above the high, or in a trade. Let me rather just say I'm interested in a trade above the high, like that B wave that I've just highlighted. If it wants to roll over, okay, I'll have a trend, play the breakout, bully CVD, you know the deal, needs to stay above the trend. I've spoken about all those scenarios. Okay, now let's look at ETH quickly over here. Well, how much time do I have? Okay, so remember, guys, for those of you that's watched the previous live streams, I was looking at this scenario. Okay, A, B, and a C wave to the downside, and I was expecting one more low. Okay, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now the fourth wave has been invalidated. Okay, which tells me that, well, then now the scenario that had the mistakes inside of it now looks like this scenario. WXY correction is done. Okay, and potentially ETH can now continue here to the upside. Just want to clean up this chart, guys. Okay, so there we go. Just want to adjust all these trends. Has not broken. Oh, it's actually at the trend. Look at where ETH is nibbling at the moment. At the trend over here. But basically the ABC scenario has been invalidated. So I'm now looking at an ABC. Okay, WXY. Here to the downside. ABC inside of your Y wave. Low could be in. We'll see. Okay, it needs to break the trend successfully. Keep the upwards momentum. This could have potentially been the low here on ETH. Right, unless if Bitcoin, now you might be asking yourself the question, but what if Bitcoin does go and take $107,000 again? Well, then the only scenario that I do see is a same ABC, where we where did I have it now? Right, this scenario. Okay, let me just clean it up a little bit. But it's still your fourth wave, but you're forming a diagonal. Because in a diagonal, the fourth wave is allowed to tap the 0.618. The fourth wave is even allowed to go into the territory of 1. Okay. So in a contracting diagonal, 1, 2, what you now would like to see is ideally it rejects where it is right now. So it stays contracting. Okay, but you have 1, 2, or 1, 2, or maybe it continues, right? It continues, yeah. Whoops, wrong. Okay, A, B, C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can still do that. 3, 4, 5. You have a contracting diagonal, and it still ends the C wave at lower levels. But because 4 tapped the 0.618, when I take it from number 2 to number 3, it's not an impulse anymore. But C waves love to end in contracting diagonals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you get upwards momentum. So there is still a scenario that supports ETH if Bitcoin goes down lower. There's also a scenario that supports ETH just to continue to the upside in a WXY. Okay, correction's done. You break the trend. We continue to the upside. Right, legends, I unfortunately need to go. Thank you so much for smashing up that like button, for joining the live stream, and until the next one, cheers for now.